Welcome to The Explainer. So let's set the scene. The year is 2026, and AI, well, it's absolutely everywhere in the digital landscape. It's incredibly fast, it's highly capable, and it is fundamentally changing exactly how we connect with our customers. But, it's also created this massive paradox for marketers who are just trying to stand out in a deeply, deeply saturated market.
Get this, 61% of marketers view AI as the biggest disruption in 20 years. That's straight from the HubSpot 2026 State of Marketing report. And honestly, what's even more telling is that 80% are relying on it for content creation. So AI is definitely no longer just some fun experiment on the fringes of your marketing department, right? It's literally the operational baseline for nearly everyone.
Kieran Flanagan over at HubSpot really hit the nail on the head regarding the core tension we're looking at today. He points out that while more content is generated by AI than humans right now, it's mostly just average. And there's the paradox. AI gives us this incredible, unprecedented scale. You can generate landing pages, emails, and ads in seconds. But all that sheer volume, it seriously risks producing just a giant sea of non-distinct sameness. Okay, so here's our roadmap for how to win in this environment. 1. Defining customer-based brand equity. 2. Shaping associations with AI. 3. The brand distinctiveness dilemma. And 4. Why a human-led point of view wins trust. Let's dive into Section 1, Defining Customer-Based Brand Equity.
To solve this hyper-modern problem of AI automation, we're actually going to travel back in time a bit and anchor our analysis in a classic framework. What's deeply interesting to me is just how long this foundational concept has served as a totally stable lens for marketers. We're talking about Kevin Lane Keller's 1993 research, which was published by the American Marketing Association. Because even in our current age of generative AI and screenless search, the fundamental psychology of how consumers learn and form their preferences, that remains exactly the same.
So Keller defines customer-based brand equity as the differential effect of brand knowledge on consumer response to the marketing of the brand. Simply put, true equity lives entirely in the memory and the associations of the individual consumer. If your brand is seen as just another generic version of a product, well, their response isn't going to differ from a hypothetical, unnamed alternative. And guys, this is the exact trap that average AI content creates.
Basically, for a brand to win, it absolutely must carve out a very specific space in the consumer's mind. Brand knowledge requires awareness, like can they actually recall and recognize you, and brand image. And that image is built on associations that need to be favorable, strong, and highly unique. You really have to ask yourself, if your marketing isn't uniquely yours, do you even have brand equity at all?
Moving right along to Section 2, Shaping Associations with AI.
So how on earth do we use automation to actually build those unique memories? Because AI fundamentally changes how quickly and accurately we can form brand associations. Just contrast the old way with the new way for a second. Traditional static segmentation was broad, it was delayed, and it was based on pretty limited demographics. But AI-driven dynamic personalization, that adapts continuously to real-time behavior. Platforms like Insider One, they use real-time behavioral data to create hyper-personalized, totally individualized interactions. This rapidly strengthens your brand associations because the message is deeply, deeply relevant to the user's immediate context and intent.
Voice search perfectly illustrates another huge way AI shapes associations. Voice queries make up about 27% of all searches in 2026. Think about it. When a user speaks a conversational query, AI assistants don't just hand them a list of links anymore. They read directly from a featured snippet or an AI overview. We call this answer engine optimization. It creates entirely new pathways for AI to access your brand's data in a totally screenless environment. So if your content isn't structured as clear, authoritative answers, your brand is quite literally going to be left out of the conversation.
Which brings us to Section 3, the brand distinctiveness dilemma.
All right, here is where the tension between scale and equity hits a boiling point. We really have to ask the hard question. Does automation actually hinder unique brand distinctiveness? Sure, generative AI can write 1,000 landing pages instantly. It can scale your content creation to infinity. But does that volume actually build the favorable and unique associations that Keller talked about? Or does it just, dilute your brand image into this diffuse, confusing mess of average content?
The folks at Tycoon Story pointed out something super important here. Outdated tactics like mass cold spam emails and those super low-quality AI-generated articles, they're actively destroying the unique trust a brand needs to survive. They note that modern startup growth now depends way more on trust, retention, and actually helpful content, rather than just chasing short-term traffic hacks. If you're using AI just to spam the internet, you are severely damaging your customer-based brand equity, plain and simple.
And this creates a really strict boundary for how we've got to operate. When you're using deep insights from neuromarketing or AI, the goal has to be creating human-centered experiences, things like improving clarity and building long-term credibility. If you're relying on automation to prioritize short-term conversions, or you're quietly mapping subconscious triggers just to force a quick click, you completely erode those favorable, trusting associations that are absolutely required for true brand loyalty.
And that leads us to our final part, Section 4, Human-Led POV Wins Trust.
This right here is the resolution to our paradox and the winning 2026 formula for building incredible brand equity. How do you stand out when AI can mimic almost any marketing copy? The answer is through a human-led point of view. I'm talking about strategies like founders consistently posting on LinkedIn, sharing real operational lessons publicly, discussing your authentic wins and your failures, and appearing on shows. Why? Because founder-led content provides the authenticity, the transparency, and the personal authority that AI just simply cannot replicate. These are the unique human associations that actually make your brand memorable.
So it all boils down to exactly what that HubSpot report concluded. AI is the baseline, but humanity is the differentiator. Don't get me wrong, automation is fantastic for scaling execution. It can optimize your ad bids, it can segment your audience dynamically, and structure your data for voice search all day long. But it is human insight, human credibility, and a distinctly human brand point of view that actually builds that vital emotional connection with the consumer. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on as you evaluate your own marketing stack. Is your AI strategy actively building favorable, strong, and unique brand equity? Or are you just using it to add more average content to the noise? The tools have evolved tremendously, no doubt about it, but the psychology of the consumer, that hasn't changed a bit. Keep Keller's framework in mind, really lean into your human differentiator, and you're going to build equity that actually lasts. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I'll see you next time.